In just the last 30 days, over 15,000 Australians have lost their jobs. Mortgage defaults are climbing at the fastest rate in 2 decades. And the housing market is bleeding billions. Yet, the government keeps saying, everything is under control. But is it? Something big is happening in Australia's economy right now. Behind the headlines, a silent storm is brewing. And most people have no idea how close they are to being hit. Could your job, your home, or your savings be the next to fall? This isn't just a downturn. Experts are calling it the start of the worst economic collapse Australia has faced in years, maybe even decades. In this video, we're diving into the 10 real reasons behind this sudden collapse. Reasons you haven't heard on the news, and what you can do right now to protect yourself before it's too late. Number 10. Government debt crisis. While most of us are busy worrying about rising rents, food prices, and keeping our jobs, there's a much bigger threat quietly building behind the scenes. Australia's soaring government debt. As of October 2025, the national debt has crossed a staggering $1.3 trillion, and it's growing every single day. To put that into perspective, that's nearly $50,000 for every Australian citizen, including newborns. Now, you might be thinking, but governments borrow money all the time, right? True, but the difference now is that we're borrowing at higher interest rates with no clear plan to pay it back. This means more of our national income is going just toward interest repayments, not hospitals, schools, or infrastructure. And here's where it hits home. The more debt the government racks up, the more likely it is that you'll pay the price. Think higher taxes, reduced public services, fewer welfare benefits, and even cuts to essential sectors like healthcare and education. Worse, as the government scrambles to fund itself, they may start selling off public assets, like transport, energy grids, and even parts of the healthcare system, to private corporations. Once that happens, costs go up, services go down, and the public loses control. So what does this mean for you? If you're relying on government help, don't. Start working on becoming financially independent, whether it's learning new skills, starting a side hustle, or simply reducing debt. Because when the government is broke, no one's coming to save you. This debt crisis isn't just numbers on a spreadsheet. It's a ticking time bomb, and when it goes off, every Australian will feel the shockwave. Number 9. Corporate layoffs across tech and mining. In industries once considered the powerhouses of the Australian economy, a wave of silent devastation is sweeping through. Massive corporate layoffs are hitting both the tech and mining sectors harder than ever before. Just last month, BHP announced another round of cuts, slashing thousands of jobs across operations in WA and Queensland. Telstra, a giant in the tech world, followed suit, letting go of hundreds as part of its restructuring plans. This isn't just a seasonal shakeup. It's a sign of deeper cracks in the system. Global demand, especially from China, one of Australia's biggest trading partners, has slowed dramatically, and automation is replacing human workers faster than we can adapt. Even tech startups, once buzzing with opportunity, are now struggling for funding, leaving young professionals in limbo. These job losses aren't just numbers. They're families struggling to pay the mortgage, young graduates staring at empty inboxes, and middle-aged workers trying to start over in an economy that no longer needs their skills. So what can you do? If you're working in tech or mining, or even relying on them indirectly, it's time to diversify your income and future-proof your career. Look into remote work, digital freelancing, or industries that are still growing like cybersecurity, health tech, or renewable energy. The job landscape is changing fast, and clinging to what was secure even a year ago could be your biggest risk. This wave of layoffs is more than just a corporate shuffle. It's a warning that no industry is too big to fall. And if you're not prepared, you might find yourself next in line. Number 8. Rising homelessness. You might imagine homelessness as something that only affects a small portion of society, people sleeping rough on the streets. But in today's Australia, the face of homelessness has changed. As of October 2025, over 122,000 Australians are now considered homeless, and that includes working families, students, and even full-time professionals. It's no longer just about tents in parks or sleeping bags outside train stations. Many people are now living in cars, temporary motels, or couch surfing for months on end. In some cities, rental prices have jumped over 30% in the past year, and vacancy rates are at historic lows. The result? Even those with stable jobs simply can't afford to live near where they work. Imagine this. You clock out from a long shift, but instead of going home, you park your car behind a warehouse, hoping no one knocks on your window overnight. That's the reality for thousands of Aussies right now. Wages haven't kept up. Government support isn't enough. And with the cost of food, fuel, and utilities continuing to rise, the working homeless are becoming one of the fastest-growing demographics in the country. So what can you do? Start by reevaluating your financial safety net. If you're renting, consider co-living or relocating to more affordable regions. Build up emergency savings, even if it's just a few dollars a week. Most importantly, recognize the early warning signs. Late rent, maxed out credit cards, and dipping into savings, and take action before things spiral. Homelessness isn't just a distant problem anymore. It's knocking on the doors of everyday Australians. And if this trend continues, it could knock on yours too. Number 7. Collapse of small businesses. Walk down any high street in Australia today, and you'll notice a disturbing pattern: darkened shopfronts, for lease signs, and once thriving local businesses that have simply vanished overnight. The truth is, small businesses, the backbone of the Australian economy, making up over 97% of all enterprises, are collapsing at a record pace in 2025. Why? It's the perfect storm. Rising rents, skyrocketing electricity bills, declining consumer spending, and relentless interest rate hikes have created an environment where survival is a daily battle. Many small business owners who barely made it through the pandemic now face a new wave of financial pressure, with no buffer left. Even long-established businesses, cafes, hairdressers, local grocers, are being pushed to the brink. Every closure doesn't just mean the loss of a storefront. It means jobs lost, communities weakened, and a growing sense of despair among everyday Australians. For many, this isn't just economic, it's deeply personal. Families have poured their life savings, their dreams, and years of hard work into these ventures. Watching it all crumble under the weight of costs they can't control is devastating. So what can be done? If you run a small business, now is the time to adapt quickly. Cut unnecessary expenses, explore online revenue streams, and seek local grants or support programs while they still exist. For everyone else, consider where your money goes. Support local whenever you can. That $10 you spend at a chain could be a lifeline for your neighbor's business. The collapse of small businesses isn't just about the economy. It's about the soul of our communities. And if we lose them, we're not just losing jobs, we're losing the Australian way of life. Number 6. Record high youth unemployment. Right now, a silent crisis is spreading through Australia, and it's hitting our young people the hardest. As of October 2025, youth unemployment has surged past 18%, the highest it's been in over a decade. That means nearly 1 in 5 Australians aged 18 to 25 can't find work, no matter how qualified or willing they are. Graduates are walking out of university with degrees, but no jobs. Apprenticeships are drying up. Even entry-level roles are being snatched up by older, more experienced workers who've been laid off from other industries. Young Australians are finding themselves locked out of the workforce before they've even had a chance to get in. And the consequences: crippling anxiety, financial instability, and a growing sense of hopelessness. Many are moving back in with parents, delaying milestones like moving out, buying a car, or even starting a family. Worse, long-term unemployment at a young age often leads to lower earnings and reduced career opportunities for years to come. But this generation isn't lazy. They're frustrated, undersupported, and trapped in a system that's not built for them. They've faced back-to-back disruptions: COVID, inflation, rising rents, and now a job market that seems impossible to crack. So what's the solution? If you're young and job hunting, it's time to think beyond traditional paths. Consider digital freelancing, online certifications, or building skills in growth industries like tech, healthcare, and green energy. Start small, build a portfolio, and create your own opportunities if no one's offering them. And if you're not part of this age group, ask yourself, how can you support them? A recommendation, a mentorship, or even just a conversation could change a life. Because if our youth can't find a future here, what kind of future does Australia really have? Number 5. Surge in personal bankruptcies. Behind the news headlines and economic jargon lies a devastating personal truth. More Australians are being forced into bankruptcy than we've seen in years. As of October 2025, personal bankruptcies have jumped by over 40% compared to last year. That's thousands of people, from all walks of life, who've hit financial rock bottom, unable to keep up with debt repayments, rising interest rates, and the cost of everyday living. And these aren't just reckless spenders or risky investors. Many are working-class families, single parents, and even professionals who once lived comfortably. With mortgage rates doubling in some cases and credit card interest piling up, it only takes one unexpected bill, a job loss, or a medical emergency to tip someone over the edge. Bankruptcy isn't just a financial event. It's an emotional collapse. It can mean losing your home, damaged credit for years, and a long, stressful road to rebuild your life. And with the economy still on shaky ground, experts warn the numbers could climb even higher in the coming months. So, what can you do to avoid becoming part of this growing statistic? First, take an honest look at your financial health. Are you spending more than you earn? Are you relying on credit to get through the month? Now is the time to cut back, consolidate debt, and build an emergency fund, even if it's small. Speak to a financial advisor or use free community support services. Help is available, but only if you reach for it. Bankruptcy doesn't happen overnight. There are warning signs, and for many Australians, those signs are already flashing red. Don't wait until it's too late. Protect your future now while you still have options. Number 4. Collapse of the construction sector. For decades, construction has been one of Australia's most reliable engines of growth, building homes, creating jobs, and fueling local economies. But in 2025, that engine is stalling fast. Across the country, the construction sector is in free fall, with dozens of major builders and contractors declaring bankruptcy or shutting down entirely. What's causing this collapse? It's a brutal combination of skyrocketing material costs, labor shortages, and fixed-price contracts that are now impossible to deliver without massive losses. Builders locked into deals from 2 years ago are now paying 20 to 30% more for timber, steel, and concrete, and they're bleeding cash with every brick they lay. The result? Abandoned projects, unfinished homes, and thousands of trod eyes out of work. For families waiting on dream homes, it means delays, legal nightmares, and in many cases, losing their deposits altogether. But this collapse doesn't just hit builders. It's spreading through plumbers, electricians, roofers, tilers, and every small business that depends on construction to survive. It's a chain reaction, and once one link breaks, the whole system starts to unravel. If you work in the trades or construction, now is the time to diversify your skills. Look into infrastructure maintenance, mining support services, or even energy and renewables where demand is growing. If you're a homebuyer or investor, be cautious. Vet your builders, ask about their finances, and avoid locking into deals that feel too good to be true. The construction collapse isn't just about buildings. It's about livelihoods, trust, and the future of Australian cities. And unless the industry gets serious support soon, we could be looking at a long-term crisis that affects every corner of the economy. Number 3. Massive retail closures. Take a walk through any major shopping center in Australia right now, and you'll notice something unsettling. Empty stores, closing down signs, and long-standing brands disappearing without warning. In 2025, Australia is facing a wave of massive retail closures, with giants like Target, Kmart, and even some popular supermarket chains shutting down locations nationwide. This isn't just a slow decline, it's a retail reckoning. As consumer spending drops and costs skyrocket, many businesses simply can't keep their doors open. With interest rates high and household budgets squeezed tighter than ever, shoppers are pulling back on everything from clothes to groceries. And for retailers already operating on razor-thin margins, that drop in sales is the final blow. But this collapse isn't just about big brands. It's affecting small local stores, franchise owners, and shopping center workers, the people who rely on these jobs to feed their families and pay their bills. Every closed store represents lost income, fewer job opportunities, and a shrinking sense of community in towns and suburbs across the country. So what does this mean for you? If you work in retail, it's time to future-proof your income. That might mean learning digital marketing, shifting into online sales, or even launching a side hustle that isn't tied to physical retail. And for all of us as consumers, this is a wake-up call to support local and independent businesses while we still can. The truth is, the retail world is changing fast, and the closures we're seeing now are just the beginning. As more stores go dark and shopping habits evolve, we need to ask ourselves, what kind of economy are we building, and who will be left behind? Number 2. Housing market crash. Not long ago, owning property in Australia felt like a guaranteed ticket to wealth. Home prices kept rising, investors were cashing in, and first-home buyers were scrambling to get in before they were priced out forever. But in 2025, that dream has turned into a nightmare for thousands. The Australian housing market is in a freefall, with prices in major cities like Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane dropping by over 20% in less than a year. So what went wrong? It's a perfect storm. Sky-high interest rates, a cost-of-living crisis, and a growing number of homeowners unable to meet their mortgage repayments. Many who bought at the peak are now trapped in negative equity, meaning their homes are worth less than their mortgages. They're stuck paying off a loan on an asset that's losing value by the month. Property investors are also hurting. With rents capped in some areas and interest-only loans coming to an end, many are selling at a loss or being forced to default. Meanwhile, construction delays and builder bankruptcies have left countless developments half-finished, wiping out savings and destroying trust in the system. If you're thinking about buying a home right now, pause and reassess. The market is volatile, and rushing in could cost you dearly. Renting may be the smarter move while the dust settles. And if you already own property, this is the time to review your finances, negotiate better loan terms if possible, and avoid over-leveraging. This isn't just a housing dip, it's a market correction that's shaking the foundations of Australia's economy. And for many Aussies, their biggest asset is now their biggest liability. Number 1. Surging interest rates. If there's one factor that's quietly wreaking havoc on everyday Australians in 2025, it's the relentless surge in interest rates. In an effort to tame inflation, the Reserve Bank of Australia has hiked interest rates to levels we haven't seen in over a decade. While that may look like a smart economic move on paper, for millions of Australians, it's become a financial nightmare. Mortgage repayments have doubled for many households, especially those who bought homes during the ultra-low rate era of 2020 to 2021. What was once an affordable $2,000 monthly payment has now ballooned to $3,500 or more, and incomes haven't caught up. Families are being forced to cut back on essentials just to keep a roof over their heads. Some are defaulting. Others are selling at a loss just to escape the crushing debt. But it doesn't stop at mortgages. Credit card debt, personal loans, business financing, all have become significantly more expensive. Small businesses that relied on loans to manage cash flow are now facing interest repayments that eat up their profits, pushing many toward closure. Even renters aren't safe. As landlords struggle with higher mortgage costs, they're passing those expenses on, meaning renters are now paying record-high rents with little relief in sight. So what can you do? If you haven't already, it's time to revisit your budget. Lock in lower fixed-rate loans if possible, cut unnecessary expenses, and avoid taking on new debt unless absolutely necessary. Even a small buffer can make a huge difference in this environment. Surging interest rates aren't just numbers on a graph. They're impacting the daily lives of millions. And until the economy stabilizes, being financially cautious isn't just wise, it's survival. As we've seen, the signs of economic collapse in Australia aren't just distant headlines. They're happening right now, and they're impacting real people in every city, suburb, and small town. From surging interest rates and a crashing housing market, to massive job losses, small business closures, and even the rise of working homelessness. This isn't a problem we can afford to ignore. But here's the truth. While we can't control the economy, we can control how we respond to it. Whether you're a student, a homeowner, a small business owner, or someone just trying to get by. The key to surviving this collapse is awareness, preparation, and action. This video wasn't meant to scare you, it was meant to wake you up. Because the worst thing you can do right now is to do nothing. Start by looking at your finances. Cut back where you can. Build a safety net. Learn new skills. Support your local community. And most importantly, stay informed. Australia is going through a rough chapter, but with the right mindset and smart decisions, you don't have to be a victim of the collapse. You can adapt. You can survive. And in some cases, you might even come out stronger. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button. It really helps us reach more Australians who need this information. Don't forget to subscribe for more weekly updates, survival tips, and financial strategies. Drop a comment below. Have you already felt the effects of this economic downturn? Let's talk about it. And check out our next video on how to financially prepare for a recession in 2025. It could make all the difference.